Hi gamers, it's been a minute. It's SFG here, Simply Fun Gaming. Apologies for the delay in between videos. I have been pretty ill, to be honest, and pretty busy with work, but glad to get back into things here and glad to get back onto Shadows of Forbidden Gods. I haven't played anything for some time actually, and I've seen there's been a big release, so I jumped on, had a good play, and yeah, there's some really cool things that we're going to talk about today. So we're going to talk about the version 0.12 release, regular update that's came out. This is fairly recent as far as recording. It's the 31st of January, which is yesterday. As of recording this, it might be a couple of days late by the time I release the video. But yeah, this is fairly new news, and you can see here there's a bit of a spoiler in terms of what this is. We'll come to this interesting art piece here. Not the normal old school art that this game is quite familiar for. As always, if you like these videos, if you like to subscribe to videos, please do. It really does help with motivation, helps encourage me to make more of them, and there's memberships and all that good stuff. But right, assuming you're settled in, let's get on with this then. So version 0.12, the Insect God. The Insect God arrives to infest and infect. That's a bit of a mouthful, but there we are. So version 0.12 brings two major new features: the last roadmap god, the Insect God, although secretly fungal in nature, and the first set of Steam achievements, which I know quite a few people are excited for, and that's a really cool thing. The Cordyceps hive mind exists by infecting and infesting insects and humans alike. So this, right, Cordyceps, I think most people know at this point, is like the famous fungus that infects ants primarily, and they, tons of different insects to be honest, but ants is the famous one, and they walk and they go into weird places and things grow out their eyes and then they spread more spores and die, right? It kind of like zombifies them. We've seen it in a number of different things. The Last of Us obviously being a very common one, but so it's made its way into this game too, and it's quite cool actually. But using a system of pheromones, the mutated worker insects leave their hive to capture infected human prey, who are then fed to the larvae to grow into more insectine horrors. Eventually, Vespid swarms can be summoned to eradicate humanity, both from the hives and by bursting directly at the infected humans in their cities. It's absolutely savage when they do this. Ruins are also undergoing some improvements with the introduction of a couple of unique dungeons with unique rewards and exploration chains. This comes along with a new mechanic, Allure, which is used to set up a race to explore the ruins, as heroes try to reach the treasure on the lowest levels before you do. Adding danger to the ruins can keep them away or kill those too greedy or reckless to fear the depths. The first set of Steam achievements are also added. These 21 are going to be used to test the waters, and if they go well, more can be added into the next version, bringing new challenges and ways to play. Wicked, sounds really good so far, right? So let's get into the meat of this. We're going to obviously do gameplay, then the other things, and the classic bug fixes hilarity at the end. So let's start with the old gameplay here. Now a lot of that's just to quickly summarise what we've got here. We've got a new guard, which is really awesome. We'll jump into a little bit of that. I'll cover it in more detail in another video. We've got Steam achievements, which are it's really cool, right? When something pops up that says, "Oh, well done, you did this," or "Well done, you did that." You know, we like this, right? It's fun to get a little pat on the back from a game now and then, and it was kind of lacking, so I'm glad they've been added, to be honest. Again, I think quite a few other people are too. Makes the game feel more professional, weirdly. I know it's a silly thing, but it for me. And then finally, we've got this sort of overhaul of ruins, and it is fairly limited. Again, I'll have a very quick example, and then I'll do another video later showcasing that, assuming life doesn't go crazy again, and illness and what have you. But yeah, the ruin stuff it's a real good positive development, I think, and it's probably a bit overdue, but you know, these things take time. It's one guy developing this, right? So it takes a bit of time to do, but it's a very cool and thematic mechanic. Right, the idea of exploring ruins in a Lovecraft game is kind of, you know, those two things are synonymous, right? Explore the ruins, find the MacGuffin, stop Lovecraft spawning, or make Lovecraft spawn. Cthulhu, rather. Right, but you get my gist. It's very Lovecraftian to have to find the little pieces of the Cthulhu doll, put them together, and where you can summon Cthulhu now, or stopping something, or whatever. Like, that's such a classic Lovecraftian trope, so I'm glad it's finally in this game, or it's starting to get into this game. So these are really positive things, I think, and it's a good development too. So gameplay. Added Insect God. Let's cut to a little bit of that, as I like to do. I won't go too long on this, but I'll cut to a little bit, give you a few examples of what it's like, and then we'll jump back. Okay, gamers, look at this happy chappy. Cordyceps hive mind. Okay, first off, the art. I think this is the best of the base game god art. I look at this is the most messed up. Some weird, freakish, giant insect creature with weird mouth there. The tendrils here, they're very Cordyceps. I've seen those on snails, I want to say, where they pop out their eye stalks and it looks flipping awful for the poor snail. But look at this. I love the art. I absolutely love the art. The art's been steadily getting better, in my opinion. If we look for just real quick, let's just have a quick look here. So we've got like She-Hulk Feast, classic snake munching the world, classic. We've got symbolic almost, Easter, the Laughing King, creepy, a little bit more colourful. He's got the madness, he's got the arms, he's got the dice, he's got his book. But he's, kind of, he's a human, right? A humanoid figure, rather. We've got Minerva, a humanoid plant, dryad, effectively. Ophanim, classic. Enough said about Ophanim, right? Classic art, not done by the artist, I believe. That's like a classic art that existed before, that was just perfect, so you used. Mammon was interesting because Mammon isn't this guy. Mammon is the gold, right, on him, which I think is super cool. Like, it's the first god art that was intangible, as it were, something that wasn't just a human shape, or like a human or animal shape, I should say. And then we get this. And I mean, yes, okay, and it's buggy, those exist, but it's not actually, it's this. And it's supposed to be like that because you can see Cordyceps, it's a real fungus. And yeah, I rate this. Anyway, as you saw from the thumbnail, Cordyceps hive mind. So, let's have a look at this. A vast hive mind, each spore of this fungal entity is linked together into a single consciousness. It exists parasitically, infecting and mutating creatures, taking control of their nervous systems and driving them towards its own goals, or paralysing them for consumption by its enslaved victims. Fungal spores spread by the wind, often from nightmarish fungal stalks growing from former victims' bodies. So it's kind of Last of Us meets Lovecraft meets I'm trying to think of an insecty type. Well, the real world, I guess. Basically, like fantasy, right? Fantasy tropes, big insects with horrible fungus infection. Are really, really cool, and I'm glad it's not like a thing. It's like this hive mind creature, which is dope. I like that. It's something different from what we have in the base game gods, at least. The first stage is infection of individuals, agents, heroes, rulers, and then spread it to others, as to the human populations. The second stage involves drones carrying away the paralysed population of undefended villages back to their hives to be devoured. The last stage involves these hives disgorging swarms of lethal predatory mutated insects to destroy entire kingdoms. Yeah, so it's interesting. And I've played Cordyceps once, so take this with a pinch of salt at this stage, but it does lean into almost like a military. It's classic really. You start off sneaky, then you start doing some shenanigans, you're trying to take people, then you spread your your tendrils, in this case the infection, right? And then it becomes like a military conquest. Like, you use the infection to generate armies to destroy humanity. That's the goal, right, of this in a way. So it's an interesting one. You don't get points for them being infected like you do with Ophanim, or in his case being faithful. In this, it's just about eating and consuming, which is again cool. It's very animalistic. Let's look at the flavour, the deeper text, just a second. Details and mechanics. Stage 1, infection. So initially this god revolves around infecting rulers, then human populations with the Cordyceps fungus. Heroes who are infected will gain infection maturity until you completely destroy them, turn them into hives and drones. Your own agents start infected, so ready-made feedstock to serve your needs. So you can, if you wish, just turn your immediate agents into a hive or whatever. Don't know if that's a good play, could be, but that is an option. Or a drone. So they start doing things. Sort of collecting that fungus. I prefer to spread it more first, but it's horses for courses, right? It's up to you how you play. I'm not going to tell you what to do. Stage 2, harvesting. So once you've started spreading this disease, as it were, the drones will automatically carry it back to the hives and create this modifier called larval masses, and it's a percentage, and the higher it is the better. You can then use that larval mass modifier to do things with, right? So you can make more drones, expand it further, you can mess up other locations, you can create little creatures, spidery type creatures that attack heroes that wander too close, or later you can create armies, which I think is the swarming. So yeah, this is how you break the seals. So that's, oh yes, I forgot to mention that. So you don't break seals just by time. With Cordyceps, you have to create hives, you have to get more larval mass. That's how you break the seals, right? And then you can use them to make more drones, as I said, to expand the colony further. Drones can't enter cities defended by armies if the location is below 50% shadow, but infected rulers, I didn't realise this when I played, gutted, but infected rulers won't rebuild lost armies, so triggering wars to destroy the armies can leave them defenceless against the swarming insects, masses of the insects, right? So if you've infected the ruler, you could just pelt things at them and eventually you will overtake them because they won't rebuild their armies, which is an interesting thing, right? It's like they're kind of, they're becoming more like cordyceps, they're getting taken over. And then finally, stage 3 swarming. Once sufficient larval mass has been accumulated, Vespidae swarms can be created, which are basically armies, which serve as armies and aggressively destroy human kingdoms to ultimately remove humanity entirely. So I'm going to cut there and we'll cover cordyceps in more detail in a future video. Okay, welcome back. Added the first set of Steam achievements to the game. I can't showcase this, you'll enjoy them as you see them yourselves, but just by playing the game you'll see, I've seen a couple just by doing testing for the insect guide and what have you, so no doubt you'll see them too, and they're quite fun, and they're quite funny, and I think in fact there's a thread somewhere, might be on Steam actually, where people are suggesting one, so feel free to make some suggestions there if you think of some pretty cool achievements to put forward. Conclaves now don't fully cancel when a key figure is assassinated. Okay, well that's a big balance change actually. So what used to happen is you could destroy a conclave. A conclave is an optional game mechanic where the forces of good, quote unquote, humanity at this stage, but maybe more in the future, get together, all the leaders get together remotely. It's like a dial-in thing. They don't actually move anywhere, but they they dial in. They get on teams, they dial in. And they decide to sort something out, right? There's too many orcs, we need to start killing these orcs, let's make some big army, a Grand Alliance army, or there's too many undead armies, let's do the Grand Alliance army, or plague is sweeping the nations, we need to put a stop to it, right? These sorts of things. And what you could do in the past is literally just infiltrate one of the locations, kill a person, and the whole conclave would fall apart, like, oh my god, somebody's been killed, type job, right? I'm assuming now that is, it's obviously not the case, it says it right here, right? But it's going to make it a bit more difficult to interrupt and destroy those conclaves in effect, which is good. I think they were too easy really to mess with. Habitability calculation changed to make population higher in medium habitability areas. Okay, so basically humanity can, and I suppose the Dark Empire, they're also humans, will be more prosperous in medium habitability areas, which is no bad thing. I suspect there's a curve to it, I would have thought, in terms of habitability, number of people, and then it kind of, tapers and plateaus and then quickly drops off as it gets worse. You can now put minions in ruins to increase the danger, so that's something to add. Ruins changed, and I'll cut to there's no point cutting to a bit of this, we'll include that in the ruin video actually. Ruins now have an allure which causes heroes to explore them, so the more attractive a ruin is, the more attractive things that are coming out of there, and you can actually influence this as well. The more heroes are wanted to engage and potentially take control, in inverted commas, of them away from you. Exploration now has possibility of unique dungeons which change the exploration formula. I'll cut to one example of this. I might edit it quite significantly because it's a bit faffy, but I'll cut to one example of this to show you what sort of stuff we're talking about here. Okay gamers, so this is one of the new events, Dragon here, and it's for the ruins. This is a new ruin event, and it says, as we can see there, the lower levels of these ruins have been taken over by a dragon. Very D&D, I like it. It sits inside the main chamber of what must have been a palace, atop its golden treasure. Vain, arrogant and powerful, classic dragon, it spends much of its time sleeping, content in its riches and solitude. As long as heroes don't drive it away, it can be visited and made use of. Right, okay, this is interesting. So let's remove the rubble to reach the dragon. Cursed has done this, lovely job, thank you Cursed. So let's have a look at this now. Is this somehow... Now is this tagged? Is there a way that I know that... I think the Cursed man. Let's just do more exploring with her. Oh, here we go, dragon again. The dragon sits atop its hoard, wary for any thieves who may be skulking in the shadows. Thieves like us. Do nothing. Try to steal gems and easily carry treasures from the mighty dragon. 50% chance of gaining 100 gold, 50% chance of 5 damage. Well, that's familiar. Madden, hire the dragon. 120 gold, 108 army unit, 120 health. That's interesting. But it uses the ruin, so that's a bit of a risk there. Madden the dragon, take 10 damage, create 120 1 second full score of ruins. Yeah, let's do it. Let's madden him. Let's see what happens there. So she's dead. Dismissed, gutted by a dragon. Sweet, but we got ourselves a dragon just going around kicking butt. Okay. Achievements now added. Again, we talked about the achievements. So it's non-Steam only during the beta branch. Okay. Achievements in twice, right? So unless there's difference between Steam achievements and then achievements, perhaps? I don't know. But, you know, fun. Rulers now hold festivals if their gold is high enough to burn off. If their gold is high enough. Ah, yes. So this is an economy thing, right? So excess gold could be a bit crazy, and it could go very, very high. So the economy would just go absolutely loopy. So what's happened now is Bobby's implemented this idea that rulers hold festivals makes people happier, makes them, you know, less bitter and so on if they've got enough gold, and if they want to just burn it on something positive, which just gets rid of that crazy. You know, sometimes you'd have rulers with like 350 gold, and then you could just nick it all, right? Instantly. I think it limits that a little bit. You know, the higher limit of gold now is rarely over 150, I think. Don't quote me on that, but I believe, which makes things a bit more sensible. Added new item, Hood of Shadows. I'm not sure what that does. I'm assuming it keeps you more stealthy, so probably reduces profile and or menace. Half time needed for heroes to complete their level up challenge. Okay, the heroes get a little bit of a buff there. Alliance heroes start with enough XP to level up once. Fair, if it's Alliance, they probably need it. It's, you know, it's coming to the end game, right? New Alliance mode. Oh, this is brilliant. New Alliance mode, which allows heroes to remove infiltration and assassinating shadowed rulers. Right. So, at the minute, there's a few options of the Alliance, but the one that I would always play on is the Alliance just immediately gains control of its locations, right? Doesn't matter how much shadow is there, doesn't matter how much infiltration is there, all the infiltration immediately is purged, yeah, like in a turn, and the shadow will very quickly be removed as well. Now this is another mode which I'm probably going to start playing on actually when I start my Let's Plays again, where rather than just the Alliance absolutely, you know, instantly do that, which is a little bit unrealistic to be honest. What happens now is the Alliance slowly, it enables heroes to remove infiltration, as it says there, so they can do a challenge to remove it, which is okay. You know, they've got to do a thing though. And they can also assassinate Enshadowed rulers and obviously replace them with a non-Enshadowed ruler. And I'm assuming the shadow will still tick down, right? So it's not quite as binary as you have infiltration. Oh, it's all gone because they're now part of the Alliance, right? You can still mess with things. You can still infiltrate locations. And, you know, if you're playing in a certain way, you might be able to keep the Alliance heroes out of a location while you do some shenanigans, start a plague, start a madness, start whatever, right? But it gives you different options. I'm really positive of this actually. I think it's a great change. I think it's one that's quite highly requested. It's a nice balance between the Alliance just wipes everything and in terms of your progress, and the Alliance is infiltratable and therefore utterly ineffective, right? It's a bit of a balance. Remains to be seen how well heroes will deal with it, because obviously they've only got so many things they can do, but I think that can be tweaked easier than the whole Alliance mechanic. Added a Giggler minion to Orc Menagerie, which inflicts madness on attack. I've not seen this, but it sounds quite fun. I'd like to give that a go. I wonder what the picture is. I suspect it's like a Jestery type thing. We'll see. Reduced cost of expanding Orcs from 35 to 30 per surrounding building. Okay, so it's reduced. Yeah, that makes sense. So it's slightly quicker to expand the Orcs there. Which is good because Orcs are pretty weak at the minute. War Axe nerf, might gain 3 down to 2. Needed it. Added new items, Page from Tome. Oh, I wonder whose tome that is. I suspect it's the Aster's. Poison. Sacrificial Dagger. Sign of Unwarding. I've seen the Sign of Unwarding actually quite a bit. Poison sounds curious, as does Sacrificial Dagger. Sign of Unwarding is pretty cool. It's an item you can use to remove, obviously, warding from a location, from shadows, so that's pretty cool. New items are great. They're particularly good actually because the mod that adds items is no longer compatible with this version of the game. It is sort of technically compatible, I think, but it's just the mod developer needs to just tweak a little bit of word text, I believe, to make it officially compatible, but it won't load, is my point. So it's good that Bobby's added these because it's back to the base game ones until the developer of that item mod manages to change them. If you haven't seen that, there'll be a link popping up anytime now, and you can click on that and check out. Obviously it's not working now, so it's literally the wrong time to tell you, but it's a great mod, and once it's back working, I'd highly recommend it. Let's jump into other. You can now add notes to units and locations. What? I didn't see this. Shut up, that's huge. Add notes. That's really cool. Okay, that's dope. I'm really keen on that. That'll definitely be getting used in my playthrough, my next playthrough. So obviously you can put need to in shadow here, watch for this, and little reminders for yourself. That's really, really good. If more than 4 cities are causing political instability, the messages are compressed to avoid spam. Fine, nice, so you don't keep getting ding, 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 ding instability messages, which is good. Okay, I'd almost call that a bug fix, but let's not split hairs. Bug fixes now, my favourite. The opening power Swift of foot should work now properly with the go to location task. Oh, this is a minor one, so right, we saw this in the Let's Play, but long story short, you click on Swift of foot, you click on your agent, and he will just move, or she will just move again to the location, right, rather than you then having to reselect them to move. That makes sense? I'm sure it does if you play the game. Armies won't get stuck if the location is trying to capture is destroyed. Okay, that sounds like a thing that used to happen. Actually, that may have affected opening playthrough as well. Man, I could have done with this earlier. Maybe Bobby watched my video and it made all the difference. I doubt it, but who knows. Fix an issue of returning to main menu from map options screen, allowing you to continue a non-existent save, crashing the game. Sweet, never saw it, but it sounds like we don't want crashes, so let's not have that. Fix bug in organised descent, causing it to cancel from rest at 0. I did see this. This is a pain. Yeah, this was a pain because this happened. I think it happened earlier than the rest hitting 0. It happened quite a bit earlier, and it really bugged me when I was like, "Why isn't it finishing?" Like you planned it to finish, you looked, and you was like, "Okay, this is going to finish. It's fine," and then it would cancel, and it just, you don't really wasting. I think again, opening playthrough. If you check that out, I did waste like tens of agent turns on that challenge. It was utterly pointless. Now, yeah, you might say, well, SFG, get a grip. It can cost you the game. I'm not saying it did, but it can. It can make a big difference. That it's a long, especially early game. It's a lot to waste. Heroes won't try to influence a holy order if human influence is already at maximum. Right, good. That makes sense. It's just them acting more sensible. You can't influence it anymore, mate. You're done. Fix the number of issues across the board for geomantic support not targeting dark units. Okay, that's a good fix. So I'm guessing it was like orcs and things maybe were left out, so now they're jumped in. Vampire armies, just other armies. Fixed issue with infiltrating orc camps with sub-settlements. Curious. Oh, right, so if they had a temple, I'm guessing you could not infiltrate them or something, or you had to infiltrate them twice, or it wouldn't work. Some silliness there, I would have thought. I don't know how they could get a temple. Curious. What's up? Maybe sub-settlements added by the Nova or something, perhaps. Curious. I'm not sure about that one. But again, it's gone now, so who cares? Fixed AI issue with intransigent faith and national action worsen relations. Oh, right, okay, I think this is a loop where it would just forever like worsen relations until there was all out world war. Which is good that it's fixed, or is it? Fixed event allowing you to spend gold for smoker option without having the gold. Oh yeah, just an event issue, that makes sense. I think you could do it even if you didn't, like it said, you need to pay 5 gold to do this. It's be like, okay, sweet. Even if you had like no gold. Which is funny. Try it on. Fixed issue where monsters were still being given orders by human rulers. Don't like that. I'm not sure why that was ever happening, but yeah, stop it. How dare you? They're not for you to control. Human rulers, get out of here. So, a fairly short list in this one, but it has been Christmas, everybody's been busy and all the rest of it, but I think it's pretty big. We've got a new god, a new really fun god, insect god, as you've seen. And we'll definitely be covering that in a bit more detail at some point in the future, maybe a let's play, we'll see. We've got the first sort of fledgling version of these new ruins events, and obviously achievements, which who doesn't like achievements? So I'm really pleased with this patch. I'm really happy. The game is shaping up. I mean, I love the game anyway, and it's been fantastic for a long time, but it's just getting... It's really, really interesting. I've been playing it for so long now. Some of these things I'm like, I gloss over them, right? Or they don't have a major impact on me personally, but I think if I was to look at this game fresh, which I kind of have done actually, given I've been away from it for so long, it's so much more professional now than when it was when I first started playing, just in every aspect, presentation, quality, everything is improved, right? And that's a good thing, I think, because hopefully the game does really, really well. If you haven't got this game, buy it, please. It doesn't. I'm not going to get paid for this. I couldn't care less if you buy it or not. But it's such a good game. And yeah, the better the game does, the more games hopefully we get like this. And I love this. For me, is one of the most unique games to have come out in the last for a very, very long time. Right, Dwarf Fortress is another game that's you could say is unique, but that because of the success spawned a load of copycats. that were never, in my opinion, quite as good, but it did. This, I really hope this game spawns copycats because it is fantastic. It's such the idea of playing like a grand strategy game as the baddie, almost like a reverse grand strategy game, is so underexplored, and it should really be explored further. So yes, hopefully this game goes from strength to strength. I'm not going to wax lyrical about that, you've heard it all a million times before. Great update, really keen on everything here. As always, hopefully you've enjoyed this video. If you have, hit the like button. It genuinely does help. I know people say this and you're thinking, oh, what a load of rubbish. Honestly, it helps, but please do. Hit the subscribe button if you're not a subscriber, and if you're interested in this sort of content, I will start making more, I promise. Apologies, I'm very, very sorry I've been away for so long. It has been playing on my mind, and again, really, really sorry guys for that. If you'd like to support me further, you can become a member. Thank you to Fed and Canned, who is my singular member at the moment. Bless his heart, absolute hero, and hopefully I will see you on the next video. Take care.